For the next speaker, I'd like to introduce Richard Berkling, CEO of Powercell, one of the most fantastic fuel cell companies, also based in Gothenburg, Sweden. And Richard, the word is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you very much for the introduction. I am sorry to say that I'm not joining you in sunny California. Unfortunately, I'm not even in Gothenburg. I'm in a hotel room in Stockholm making this presentation, but thank you for the opportunity to participate. Let me just share my screen here and see if I can find let me see my presentation. Hans, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Very good then. So once again, thank you very much for hosting this. I will try and convey the message on how to manage the energy transition using hydrogen electric. We've heard about many different technology solutions, and I think that's really important. And quite often when I do these speeches, we're asked whether or not there is a conflict between electrification from batteries and hydrogen. But I think in order for us to manage the transition that we're facing in society, we need to acknowledge the fact that we need many technology solutions, and everything that is going to bring us to a better solution, I think it's worth working with. So this presentation is talking about bringing zero emission solutions to the world. That is a contribution of Powercell. I don't think I need to stress the fact that we are in a point in time where we have a difficult task ahead of us. We are in the midst of a climate crisis, and from the perspective of Powercell, we say that going fossil free is no longer enough. If we listen to the IPCC report that was brought up 1.5 months ago, and also the report from Glasgow, the COP meeting that is going on right now, we see now that we are further away from the Paris Agreement than we were a couple of years ago. We have actually gone backwards when it comes to development in the world. But there are really positive signs, and I am one of the believers that we will sort this out and come with a solution, because we need to bring a more sustainable society. And sustainability in this sense is not just about the climate, but also about society in general. Am I still sharing? Because I lost the screen here. Let me see here. So here in Sweden, we are a highly developed country. We have had secure and stable access to electricity since the mid-70s, although we had the oil crisis then. But in recent years,
Richard, try to share screen again.
Very good then. Just a second. Am I back? So, as we said before, we are in a climate crisis. We are stating that going fossil free is not good enough. We need to go completely emission free. We see now that we have stricter regulation in all sectors in society. We have it in transportation, we have it for construction buildings, etc. But we also see the positive signs where we have a higher proportion of renewable energy. I was listening to one of the presenters before, talking about different green alternatives where you have solar and wind, and we see that proportion as part of society is growing. But we also see that hydrogen is recognized for the ability to store energy, which I will come back to, because this is part of why hydrogen and fuel cells are viewed as being one of the most important technologies in order for us to be able to manage this transition into new energy solutions. Our industry, we are moving into what we call more industrialized innovation. Quite often we hear about fuel cells and hydrogen and electrolyzers being technology of the future. I am stressing the fact that it is available today, not only Powercell, but our colleagues in the industry. We can provide solutions today to bring down emissions and also get access to decentralized solutions for electricity generation. But we also see, as I said, the first indications of true market-driven growth. Powercell, we have been in business for 28 years, more or less. Now we are starting to see the first demand, which are truly commercially driven, not just for technology purpose or technology evaluation. And that is a really encouraging sign. This image here is a way to try and simplify how hydrogen and fuel cells are a very important carrier for energy in the system, in the energy system. To the left, we see renewable energy sources. Today, the utilization rate of solar parks and wind parks that is below 50%, and that is not acceptable in any way, because if you're financing or investing into renewable energy sources, and you only use that source for less than 50%, that is not sustainable from an environmental perspective, but not also from a financial perspective. And that fact is due to the fact that when you have sunshine, quite often you have enough access to electricity and energy in the system. And also the same goes for wind. So if you can store the sunshine for a rainy day, then you can have better leverage of your investment and the capacity on the renewable energy sources. And that's where the electrolyzer and the process of creating hydrogen comes into play, because you use that excess energy to run it through an electrolyzer and then create hydrogen. And hydrogen is perfect in that sense, because you can store energy in the form of hydrogen. That means that you can utilize it in a different time and also in a different place, because it's fairly easy to distribute and transport hydrogen compared to electricity if you store it in a battery. It's it's less expensive, and it's also, as I said, easier to transport. So with that hydrogen, then you can use the fuel cell from Powercell or others to generate electricity and energy in different applications. And primarily for us, we have the stationary, we have marine, and we have off-road and transportation. That means that the fuel cell is a valid source of energy where almost everywhere we have a combustion engine today. That makes it so interesting as a solution to bring down emission. Just to give you some perspective, because access to green hydrogen has been debated, we now see massive investment going into this. The European Union, they have a target of producing 40 gigawatt of green hydrogen by 2030. That is now complemented by initiatives from the private sector with additional 40 gigawatt, which means that we are now going into a more mature market. And here we see Germany, France, and the Netherlands bringing a lot of initiative into this. And this is also important from a sustainability and also, I would say, a national interest, because hydrogen will have an impact on nations. Access to green hydrogen will be a competitive advantage for an industrialized nation going forward. Sweden, we have a lot of credibility when it comes to green technology. We are in the forefront of environmental care, but here we are lagging behind. Sweden is lacking a national strategy for production of green hydrogen. And that is dangerous, not only from the environmental perspective, but also from the societal perspective and industrial perspective, because if you have a distance between where you manufacture the green hydrogen and your local market, that means that your basic industry, the core industry of Sweden, will have a disadvantage compared to our colleagues in Germany and France, where they have closer access to the green hydrogen. So that means that a national strategy for green hydrogen production will be important going forward. That also goes, I would say, for US states, where you also will have that as a competitive advantage when it comes to attracting new companies and especially factories which need to go green, and where fuel cells and hydrogen will be really, really important. We see that the demand for green hydrogen and fuel cell is going to grow exponentially. Quite often we talk about the transportation industry and automotive industry. That is just a small part of this potential market. As I said before, wherever you have a combustion engine, you will see electrification happening. It could be battery electric solutions, but it could also be hydrogen or other solutions. just to put some numbers to this, here in Gothenburg, we have Volvo Cars as the Swedish automotive manufacturer. By 2030, they will have only electrical drivelines in their vehicles. They have put a dead or an end to the manufacturing of combustion engines. Volvo Group, the heavy-duty truck manufacturer, they say that by 2040, 50% of their installation will be fuel cells. So when you see these significant OEMs putting an end date to the combustion engine, you know that this transition is going to happen, and it's going to happen for real, and it will have an impact. This is also really good indication that the cost for this technology will be brought down, because now massive investment is going into the full value chain. So if we simplify the image of the whole value chain, where you have the renewable energy, you can access either generate electricity directly to the power grid, or you can run it through the electrolyzer. You have the hydrogen, you store it, and then you add the fuel cell. This is just one way to show how Powercell is contributing in this value chain, and what kind of products we have, and what kind of segments that we address with this. As a company, we say that we are a leading fuel cell technology company. We have been doing research in this area for 28 years. The company was spun out from the Volvo Group in the mid-2000. That means that we have a heritage of developing solutions and technology that is industrialized, which has a quality and serviceability over the life cycle. This is not just R&D or technology development for the sake of technology. We have in our DNA hard-coded in that we are making products and innovation that is supplying value to the end user. Although still a small company, we have strategic partnership that gives us access to global customers and a global presence. I think this is really important when you are on a growth path as the one Powercell is at the moment. So we are expanding together with our colleagues in the industry. We have the Bosch, we have Siemens Energy. We have others that is just giving Powercell a larger footprint than we could do just with our own organic organization. Quite often, as I said, in this industry, you hear companies talking about this is going to happen in the future. As a company, Powercell is now doing this today. We have what we say a gigafactory established since 2020. That means that we can manufacture up to 1 gigawatt of fuel cell products per year. We have a competence and expertise that is not just about creating the fuel cell and the fuel cell system, but we are also supporting local government, customers, operators of vehicles or buildings or vessels to do the adaptation, because this is new technology. And with our expertise and investment into solutions, we are not just selling a product, we're accelerating this transition, because using new technology is sometimes difficult. You have companies, you have organizations, you have a complete society that is based around the combustion engine or fossil energy solutions. That transition will require a lot of support, not just technology, and that is where we add a lot of value to the customers. We have a number of segments that we address with our technology and products, primarily on road, together with partners like Bosch, because the automotive industry is a lot about commodity and volume and scale. And there Bosch is an industrial giant with a manufacturing capacity that is quite high. So we work with them as a market channel on that segment, but on off-road, stationary, and marine, we address those customers directly, and we support them, as I said, not just with the product and product portfolio, but also adaptation of the product to make sure that they can make this transition smoother and faster than they would by themselves. And I need to stress this over and over, the technology is available. We have availability also to green hydrogen. That means that many solutions, many applications that we see today can transfer today to completely zero emission energy solutions. We have, for instance, the data centers, which are a massive user of energy. They are going more and more towards green solutions, and their hydrogen and fuel cells are a really valid solution. I think that we have our breakthrough order in the US with the University of Texas, where we are together with Hitachi Energy, supplying a generator as recovery power for the university. to replace a diesel generator, which has been the standard solution for I would say decades. It's really important to see universities and other entities like that going in the forefront of doing this transition, showing the industry and showing society that this is available today. We have what we say leading technology by ourselves, but also through our partnerships. And the technology is, we say that we have a leading technology when it comes to heavy duty fuel cells. We have the best energy density in the world. And that might sound a bit technical, but what it means is that the fuel cell that we supply is smaller and lighter in weight than the competitors. That allows for more storage of hydrogen. That means that you can run your operation without refueling for a longer time. That gives you better economy in your operation and also more, I would say less downtime on if it's a vehicle or if it's something else. So that is a really, really important competitive advantage. So if you have a solution where you need to go green, where you need to go for zero emission and you want to try out hydrogen, we say that the Powercell offering is to make sure that you minimize the technical risk, minimize R&D investment, and minimize time to market. I was listening to one of the presenters previously that said that investing into this technology, where you might have regulation changing quite rapidly, or you might have really large capex to do the investment, we have an offering to bring all that down and to make sure that we are sharing the risk with the customer, because we are the experts in this field. We want to make sure that we share the risk and we can mitigate risk together to make sure that this transition is going really, really smooth. And we do that, as I said, with the technology leadership from a fuel cell solution that is really powerful and compact, high energy efficiency and high energy density. And it's also easy to integrate, because I know I'm repeating myself, but bringing down the threshold for companies and societies that wants to go towards a hydrogen or fuel cell solution, that is the most important contribution we can do. Many of our colleagues in the industry, they have really good fuel cell technology. We try and differentiate by supporting the customer also in the transition, making sure that we are taking responsibility to give them access to the energy, not just selling the solution. We have today a scalable product portfolio available today. We go from a 5 kilowatt solution up to a 200 kilowatt solution, which means that we can serve many different customers with industrialized solutions adapted for their specific need. We can also scale it in different sizes when it comes to the system integration. That means that for the off-road segment, everything from a smaller 30 kilowatt solution up to a 3.2 megawatt. That means that we can make the really large mining construction equipment solution machines fully electrical from hydrogen. The marine segment is really interesting. There we have solutions from 200 kilowatt up to 4 megawatt. Also the same for stationary. And this shows I would say the diversity of hydrogen and fuel cells. With a similar or the same technology, we can address different markets, and we do it with an industrialized base product, but then we do adaptation for customer specific need and customer specific applications. Making sure that they are easy to buy and easy to install. We have made product packages that are very easy to order for the customer. So during this summer, we introduced the Marine System 200. This is just an example to show this is available today. These are industrialized solutions, fully certified according to classification bodies and regulations for specific segments. This shows, this is a rendered image, but it's an actual ferry being built in Norway, where they will put in hydrogen and fuel cell solution. It's a 6 megawatt solution. The benefit of fuel cells and hydrogen is also that here you put a number of fuel cell systems in series. So I think that we have in this one 16 units. That means that you can have a redundancy. That means that if one or two system fails, you can still run at 80, 85, 90% capacity. That is a big difference compared to the combustion engine, that if you have issues with an engine, a diesel engine or something running on other fuels, the whole ship shuts down. So this is also safety and quality for the operator. It gives them access. Our contribution is
You got 2 minutes, Richard.
very good. I'll speed up the products here. What I think is really important is to acknowledge hydrogen electrification as a game changer. This is one of the most important technologies to store energy from renewable sources and to utilize it later on at a different place. Sustainability is more than just the environment. I am really proud that our energy solution is completely zero emission, but we're also giving access to electricity where you have poor access to it. We think that decentralized energy solutions will be part of the future energy system. So I think that society will change from electrification. I think that we will see a different distribution of energy. I think we will see a different distribution of who is controlling the energy solution. I think it will be liberating for society, for companies, and communities. So I think this is also important to embrace that this is a new industry emerging. I think that we will see new companies emerging. I think that we will see this as part of the industrial strategy for nations and perhaps states in the US. And I think that that would be important for states like California and others to embrace. I would welcome more initiatives. I would welcome more competitors because we need to contribute. I think this is a really, really important journey that we're on, and we have an obligation to contribute. So if I could encourage nations or states, I would set national targets for hydrogen production because this is really important to get access to. And I'm pushing this agenda also in Sweden. I think that from a nation and a state side, you should encourage large-scale industrial test beds, not just giving grants or subsidiaries. Make sure that you do the industrial test bed to build application knowledge also locally. And then I think leadership, state side and nation side, leadership should inspire and challenge and lead because the industry, we have the technical solution, but we need both political, societal leadership pushing the envelope, give us really, really challenging tasks, and I'm certain that we will step up and provide value. So with that, thank you very much. Hope to have some interesting questions later on the panel.